live at San Diego at the DC Entertainment booth. Introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Steve Rolando from Batman Shadow, Justice League America, and Supergirl.
So, for Rebirth, this
Yes.
whole thing, what exactly, which company exactly?
Right now I'm writing, so for Rebirth, I'm writing the two Rebirth books for Justice League America and Supergirl.
Okay, so what is the actual Supergirl? What's the final? I think actually, yeah, just I don't know as this very
So absolutely.
what is the basic gist of the
Supergirl is, about the quest of Superman for Supergirl. I guess she lives in National City now, and she is trying to show her own type of strength, which comes from knowing when not to. She, I think, is one of the most compassionate characters in the DC universe. Her story, I think, is much more real than Superman's. Because she left things behind on Krypton. She has real friends, real relationships. She left when she was 15, not when she was a baby. So her story is one that I think is much more relatable to people who've come to a new place, and not just if you come to a new country. If you come to a new office, if you've broken up with someone, you're coming into a new social scene. But she does that with strength and vitality. I think is very exciting. She's there, and as things come up in Supergirl in the next arc, she's facing some Legion of Superheroes villains with the Emerald Empress, the new Fatal Five, and really people who are threatened by the very thing she represents. Her compassion, her goodness, which have spiraled out into the future. And we see how people think of these characters as maybe being somewhat invulnerable. I mean, in a metatextual sense. Obviously, she is in a physical sense. But, goodness, if we're not on board with it and we're not ready for it, it can come around, and those things start to affect her in a very strong way in the next arc. Are we really ready for what her compassion, what her forgiveness means? Are we mentally and emotionally strong enough to have her in our world? And that's what's going on in Supergirl.
Does she have any supporting characters like heroes? Because I remember reading. Actually, I remember Planet Colossal through an issue where Steel was in it. So is he kind of playing a part in that, or is it just he's?
No, well, she has her coworker at Catco, Ben Rubel. She has Cat Grant, who is taking her under her wing in her job, and we have some great guests. We just did a guest spot with Batgirl, and we have a great guest spot coming up with Kong Keenan, the new Superman from Shanghai, which I'm very excited about.
Was there any kind of like influence from I know the TV show and stuff that kind of influenced stuff in comics, or y'all just kind of like doing your thing from just in terms of just the straight up?
Well, there's a little bit because we want to make it inviting to people who have watched the show, but at the same time, the show's best trick was just understanding the core of Supergirl as a character, and so and obviously we want to do that too. So there's a little bit in the settings to make it familiar. That's one of the reasons she moved to National City, but at the same time, we want to lead with the comics. We can always be bigger, more exciting, and more creative than TV. Not to shade TV, but we don't have a budget. Our budget is whatever we can come up with in our mind. So I think we have an obligation to give people more in every page, and that's what we're trying to do in Supergirl.
Now, for Justice League, what is your goal for that book?
Justice League is, we started out. It's a Justice League of America that looks like America. We have more people of color. We have more different orientations. We have more women on the Justice League than ever before, and part and parcel of that is a team that works differently. What we've been saying is it's a team that's a resource and doesn't necessarily just fly down from the sky with a solution, because solutions vary based on who you're talking to, your relationship with power, your relationship with authority. So having a team like this means they have to solve things differently. It's community minded. It is also the most transparent team in the DC universe. They announced as they came out that their sanctuary where they work is open to everybody, like the White House. They want people to know who they are and what they're about. Instead of just seeing them fly over the sky, and that's what Justice League is about. It's about not just having heroes, but it's about finding all those sort of qualities that we in our life put on our icons, whether they're political figures, whether they're celebrities. It's about stopping and seeing that, yes, like you can put them on them, but also you should find them in yourself. And that's what the Justice League wants to show you. That's why they're so open. That's why they come with an open hand. And rather than say, this is what you need to do, they say, how can we help? Because really, at the end of the day, you have to find those things in yourself, and they want to inspire people to see that, they're heroes, but we can all do that too.
Yeah. So, what's the whole? Well, actually, who is the core team that you guys are using for JLA for right now?
So the core team for JLA is Vixen, who I consider honestly the leader of the team, or co-leader with Batman.
Lobo, Killer Frost, the Atom, the Ray, and Black Canary right now.
Now, how is Lobo in terms of his dynamics with that team? Like now, 'cause I mean that is a wild card of a character to have on there. I mean, I remember seeing him in the Justice League cartoon when he
Yeah.
was temporarily, and that was kind of a funny dynamic where he's just doing his own thing. So is it kind of the same where he's just kind of like doing his own thing?
Well, there's a reason he's on the team, and he has to deal with Batman for something that he has wanted more than anything else, which will come to play. We've already hinted at it, but it will come to play in the fall as well in Justice League of America. So there is a reason he's there. Batman needs him for the fight that's coming against the Might Beyond the Mirror, the big threat of the book, and at the same time, Batman has information that Lobo wants. As well, but from a creative standpoint, he's the great disruptor, and that's what's great about him. Everyone in the DC universe seems to oh, Batman, like Batman always has a plan. Batman always knows what to do best. And Lobo's the guy that says, you know, don't really give a shit. And so he needs someone to remind Batman that he's mortal and to just sort of say, to laugh at all the things that no other character would laugh at. He's the guy that doesn't take Batman too seriously, and I think that's great for the team dynamic.
Now, lastly, Vixen kind of being part of this team and stuff. How is her dynamic with Batman in terms of? I mean, there probably is a rhyme and reason why he picked her specifically.
I think Batman looks up to Vixen and respects her immensely, and that's one of the things. I'm thinking about when we were planning the book. I was talking to some of my friends, and Vixen started as an orphan. She lost both her parents, just like Batman. However, at separate times, so she had to deal with the trauma at two different times. And she's raised herself up to be a multi-billionaire fashion mogul and public icon. She doesn't have a secret identity, and it reminded me, it's kind of like her struggle is because she's a public personality, her superheroing, I feel like it's kind of like any time that you get someone like Kaepernick or Beyonce becomes political, and people say, "Oh, why can't you just play football? Can't you just be a model or a singer?" Well, no, there's so much. I have a greater responsibility, and that's a lot of things that she faces in the DC universe because of her public identity. And at the same time, Batman looks at her and sees this is someone that started even at somewhere even lower than where I was, with even less. There was no billionaire fortune to inherit, and she's achieved everything I have. And maybe even is more centered in her life. She has happiness. She has all these things. So I think there's an aspirational aspect to her with with Batman bringing her onto the team. And at the same time, she is someone that can say, "I knew you when." If he's in his head too much, she knows that. She knows where Bruce came from, and oftentimes his secrets create tension on the team. And she can be there to say, well, if you're more open with people like me, maybe they wouldn't have these problems. If the rest of the team knew where you were coming from, like I do, maybe you wouldn't have this tension. Maybe you could achieve what you want more, and that's what she's there for.
All right, cool. Well, appreciate the time.
Thank
definitely
you.
looking forward to books and stuff like that. I definitely need to read them, but definitely our viewers will definitely be looking forward to Supergirl and JLA. So appreciate the time. So thanks.
Thank you very much.
No problem.